The SpyCloud Enterprise Protection integration for Microsoft Sentinel can be loaded in one of two ways, either from within Microsoft Sentinel by going to the Content Hub and searching for SpyCloud, or through the Azure Marketplace, also searching by SpyCloud. Regardless of how the integration is installed and configured, it will begin bringing in incidents to your main view within Microsoft Sentinel. These incidents will be of two types and will always be of a severity high, meaning that it needs to be actioned as soon as possible. The malware incidents are associated with malware infection data, and breach incidents are associated with third-party breach data. One thing you may notice is that the malware record, some of them actually have a higher number of alerts, and that's because we take all records associated with a given malware infection and combine them together so they can be actioned as a unit. Over here, we'll see kind of a high-level overview of the data associated with a malware infection. This will include all entities, being host names, email addresses, and other such fields like domains associated with the infection. Additionally, you can scroll down and see all the data associated with those 8 alerts. In this case, we have 8. Otherwise, it might be 2, 3, 4, whatever. And what this will show is also password reuse patterns. So in this case, we're seeing the same 3 passwords in use across 8 separate records, meaning that there is password reuse occurring with this user. We'll also see information on the source ID, domains, published dates, and other things associated with that record, including infected time. If we want to see more details on the malware record, we can click View Full Details, and we can see everything, including all of the entities, as mentioned earlier, and we can also see the individual alerts. Mousing through these and clicking on them would show us the details on a one-by-one basis if we wanted to get to that level of detail. Now, in addition to malware incidents, we're also producing breach record incidents. So let's take a look at one of these. You'll see this is very similar. However, in a breach record incident, we're going to see just a singular alert tied to each of the incidents because each of these represents a singular release of a password in one of our breach catalog entries. So once again, down here, we'll actually see associated field data, and we can view full details associated with that. Now, one thing I do want to call out here is one of the comments associated with this playbook, or I'm sorry, with this incident, is that a playbook has successfully executed. And that is important because that is the next thing we want to talk about, which is how could someone automate this? Because it's possible that your security operations personnel will just take these incidents and operate on them as they stand. But more than likely, you'll want to do some automation, either to enrich the incidents with additional detail, or perhaps to automatically triage and close some incidents if they're not important. So let's look at the automation component of this as the last thing we'll look at within this integration. Via automation, we can actually say for these different types of incidents, we actually want to run specific playbooks. And that's what you saw reference to earlier. So let's take a look at the malware playbook. The purpose of the malware playbook is specifically to add enrichment of compass details to the already existing incident. So what this will do is reach out and will eventually hit the compass device data endpoint using the infected machine ID associated with the incident. That will allow us to pull additional records that may be associated with this infection that are not associated with your enterprise watch list. This can be used to add additional enrichment detail for your security operations folks as they go out and they try to do post-infection remediation for that malware infection incident. So let's look at the equivalent playbook, except the one that runs whenever there's a third-party breach. This playbook is not so much about enrichment as it is about triaging that password and checking to see a couple things about it. Most importantly, what it'll do as part of the playbook is it will check to see if the length of that password that's exposed is long enough that it would be something supported by your organization. Additionally, we might check to see if that email address associated with that exposed password is belonging to an active employee. We might not want to work this incident if the user is no longer at the organization. And then lastly, we'll check to see if the exposed password is in use on the network. And from there, one could decide to do further automation to either create a ticket, email the user, or even reset the password directly, depending on what you want to do. And of course, we finish with adding a comment to the incident so that the incident can have additional detail on what occurred in the playbook. And that right there concludes the overview of the Microsoft Sentinel integration.